So I wanted to today just run over, I know Lois had mentioned in the group that people are finding it a bit hard to find deals. I don't know, how have you guys, Glenn, Carl, have you guys got on the last week, just sort of searching for stuff?
Found lots to look at, but trying to get a deal's a nightmare.
Okay. Have you been out on looking at them all?
Yeah, we've had, how many viewings we've done this week, Glenn?
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Right. When you say getting a deal, what do you mean? It's just the figures aren't working, or?
Yeah, getting them to stack. For instance, we had a great one lined up yesterday. Drove down to Shotton Colliery, which is obviously south of Durham, for a barn conversion. Look, cracking on paper, this, that, and the other. Got there. The figures stack on the sort of 700 quid a month rent for an SA. But the work that was involved to get it ready to be an SA was about 20k. So it just didn't stack.
Yeah, you cannot be spending that type of money on rental stuff. You know, you'd never get your money back. So with rental stuff, you need it out. You want to be looking for properties that are within. Let's have a look here. I'll get my screen on. We want to be having a look for properties. You know, so for me, I always think that these landlord groups are the best. So let's think. So Newcastle for rent. You want to be just picking up stock that needs very little refurb. You know, you're not going to get that much of a good deal. Most of them will probably be in decent condition because they tend to be flat. So these type of groups are where landlords will post their stuff, and you can then, you know, go through them. So 2 beds, 1 bath. It is just a case of putting the hours in to try and, you know, get them. So here, this is, let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. That's it. Well done. Great advert. It doesn't even tell you where that is. 3 bedroom in a much desirable location, close to amenities. See, that looks all right. That's the type of stuff that you want.
Yeah.
You know, that is like literally just furniture and moving. Where's that at? 3 beds.
Washington, yeah.
Where's it say that?
Under the photographs, just.
There, Washington, England. $650 a month. Depends whereabouts in Washington. You know, if it's close to the A1, might not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Stylish, well presented 2-bed up a flat. Blythe. Blythe's not a bad area for contractors. You know, what do they want for that? It's for sale, 54 grand. That's for sale. There's Lois putting her adverts out there. Student accommodation, 68 beds, large space studios, short stays available, all bills included. This lovely apartment is located in Newcastle. No, this kid here. Yeah, so they're doing short-term rentals. So this is just one way of doing it that I kind of used to spend at least half an hour a day just scrolling through stuff like this, and then I'd just be sending messages all the time. You know, and just the more of these messages you send, the more you get out. You can then do various things. I mean, this one doesn't let you because it's just to sell something. Actually, no, in the discussion board you can. So then you could just do like, you could put like, any landlord's got a 3-bed in wherever. You can just do something like that and then make it stand out like that, and then you post that. Might as well post it just for the crack. So that, see, that goes to the moderator. they may or may not, depending on my profile, accept that. So it's just a case of going through that, and then you can use this magnifying glass and also search stuff. So you could, so there's nothing coming up there. 3 beds, 3 beds. We urgent looking for properties to rent. I see that's just someone doing what we're doing. Then you've kind of got these adverts as well, which you can go into. The downside of these ads is some of them are agents, so you don't really know until you start clicking into them. There you go. That's a private seller by the looks of it down here. Seller information. Normally they have their the agency details. If you hit that point, and you get private sellers. So I'll just open a few of these. Let's just have a quick dive around them. So it's all just like research and just been getting clever with. You see there, that's on the market. St. Mary's Church rent agencies. So that's an estate agent.
It's Torquay that now, Lee.
Just
It's a little bit far from you, isn't
it? The principle's the same. Agents. So they're all agents, you see, whereas that first one was a landlord. So it is just, unfortunately, this game, there's no magic sort of. It is just putting the time and effort into to get the result. You can also go, if you just go Facebook here, and then you just go 3-bed house for rent, Newcastle. Hit the old enter button. Then it gives you like all these options down the left. Are basically all the posts that have that title in. Just the posts, just the people, photos, videos. So you can kind of go through these one by one. So they're all the posts with 3-bed Newcastle written in. They're all the people. They're all the photos, videos. They're all the, so people are actually posting, videos on here. Then you got Marketplace. And then takes you into here. You can then in Marketplace filter a bit further, so you can go through it all. And so it's just a case of playing around with it and going through it. And then it's the same on the likes of Gumtree. And just I'm looking for property. So you go. Probably click too soon there, but to rent, and then just type in find it hard to believe there's no property to rent in Newcastle upon Tyne. So you got 27 hours. The key to Gumtree is if you come down here, where's the
They're all to swap them, Ryan, aren't they?
oh yeah, add to
Swap
swap.
home exchange.
I'm in the wrong bloody thing.
Mm.
The only problem with Gumtree is the website is so slow, it pisses me off. I haven't got the patience to deal with Gumtree. That's why
Never guessed.
I don't use it that much. But I mean, like, to rent Tyne and Weir. Let's just go 10 miles. Go rent. The key is you come down here and you can choose this here, where agency or private. So if you click private, 405, and then you can obviously filter stuff out. But again, you're just going through it. So Gateshead, 2-bed flat in Bentham Avenue. Have a look at that. Job's a good one. Depending on where in Bentham that is. Well, actually, Bentham would be all right. £105 a week. So, you know, contact Michael, hit the old reveal button, get his mobile number. Once you're logged in, bish, bash, bosh, give him a call. So this is just like, this is how you go about finding landlords. You can then do clever things like dropping types of posts into certain groups and get them to come out. And you can find them that way. And then, you know, you've got Gumtree. LinkedIn is a bit of a slower process, but you can do it. But I think in Facebook, there's so many groups that you can be going into. There's also, you know, like, it's all just about getting clever with your keywords. So let's just have a look at this. Urgent. So these are just searching through. You've then got Spare Room. Now, Spare Room is a HMO platform, but what you can do with Spare Room is, this is where we tend to pick up a lot of our bigger properties from landlords who can't get them full because they're just not in the best condition. So now the way to check it is when I'll just open up a few of these adverts. So we go, just get this on the side. Like this one here, flat share, amazing new rooms build, 4th Avenue Heaton. Now I know he's a rent-to-rent landlord. So he's got every single room in this house empty. So he'll be paying rent on that. He'll be doing rent-to-rent. I just know who he is. They've got all those rooms rented out apart from that one. So that one's not going to work. What you're looking for here is properties that are flat share, Gosforth 595, current flatmates 1, total 2. So you're wanting like big houses that have got say 1 room out of 5 full or less. And then, you know, because the landlords are going to be motivated to want to get out of those properties. What you can also do is just I also look for the photos of like really shit student properties, because they work really well and you can nick them off landlords, because landlords of student HMOs will be tired. So you're kind of just looking for rundown stuff. Doubles. Here we go. Picture of a garden. Get in. So what else we've got? Housemates 3, total number. So they've got roommates in, so they wouldn't work. I would still be calling these landlords, because most of the landlords that have HMOs have big portfolios. So it's worth just, you know, you can get their numbers here. Obviously, these tell you whether it's an agent or not, but there'll be plenty of landlords that have, you know, aren't just from an agent. You know, Time to Let, you know, Oak Stays, you know. So there's plenty of people. There's plenty of ways to get their numbers and just get on the phone to them and just start speaking. Just say, hey, I see you've got a 2-bed on the quayside with a room available. I'm actually looking for bigger properties. Do you have anything? You know, obviously you're a landlord or you're an agent, and you just kind of just contacting them. So that's mainly like the quickest way, I think, to prospect and just use social media. Gumtree. You've got Open Rent as well, but again, with Open Rent, So 10 kilometers. So all these ads are direct to the landlord. You know, if you're speaking to them. So, you know, you want to be looking for, you know, room house share, 3-room share, flat, Tamworth Road. One bed, 4-bed terraced house, Hotspur Street, NE6. That would work incredibly well for SA. It's just a bit steep on the old price. You probably want that for about 950 max. Student friendly, families allow bills included. So then you just, you know, obviously need to log in and then just take that to the next level. But they're the types of properties that are ideal. I mean, that looks all right on the face of it, but then, you know, these wood floors do not attract many tenants. So, you know, if I was to take this on as an SA, I'd just whip a carpet throughout the whole of that house, and just it would totally change the way of the feel of that house, because the rest of it looks all right. You know, it's all right. You could glam that up fairly decent. The backyard's okay. So it's just a bit steep on the rent, but it depends how long it's been advertised for. You know, if it's been advertised for a while, then, you know, they might be a bit more motivated to come down on the rent. So it's just a case of going through these channels really and just spending the time. But you kind of want properties like this. You don't really want anything that's much more than this in terms of a refurb, because if you do, then you know, it just takes too long to get your money back out, and you just never know when these landlords, you know, might pull. I don't think, in my experience, they don't pull the plug because it's a good it's a good strategy for them. It's safe. You know, the tenants at the minute are not a good bet. You know, the rules are just so in favor of the tenant at the minute. It'll take you the best part of a year to kick a tenant out now, with all these extensions on the bans and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And if they want to be difficult and play hardball, so it's hard to get that to get them out. So yeah, so that's pretty much how I have and always will go searching for stuff. It is a tedious game at times, but, you know, if you open enough conversations and you scroll enough and you message enough landlords, then you'll start to get some responses back. The key to it all is make sure that your profile kind of matches what you want them to do. So, you know, make sure that, because when you start messaging landlords, I know I do it, the first thing I do is check the profile out before I decide whether I'm going to respond to anyone. So, you know, if your profile doesn't represent what you're trying to portray as a business, then they might just not respond back. So you want to make sure that, you know, you're giving yourself the best chance when you do find a potential property. You're giving yourself the best chance to be able to get a response back from that landlord. And then it's just a case of explaining what you do, moving into you know, a conversation of, you know, I try and keep it brief and then get on the viewing. And then when I'm on the viewing, I prefer to, now this doesn't work in all cases, you know, there's a lot of people that just want all the information up front before they'll decide to move forward. But you know, it's case by case basis. You can kind of tell when they're messaging back the questions that they're asking, if they're going to be, you know, accommodating or not, or whether you're going to have a bit more of a battle to get them over the line and speak to them and, you know, get on the viewing. But I always would, if I could sort of just book a viewing and go and then explain stuff versus try and explain stuff over messaging or phone, I would always want to go on the viewing, because I just feel like I can persuade them better when I'm actually talking to them face to face, and it just works out a lot better. So yeah, so any questions on that, or any questions on anything else? The floor is yours if you want to just unmute yourself and go, just ask questions, ask away.
Both me and Glenn been offered two bed apartments in Newcastle city centre, fully furnished, high end sort of apartments. So rental on them's quite high, but it's still doable if we can get like compete with like Dream Apartments and stuff like that on the quayside. We can compete with them.
Where's the apartment?
Hadrian's Tower, Newcastle.
Okay. A couple of things with sort of the quayside stuff and most city centre stuff is double check that the lease permits it, because there's many landlords will rent them, but then they'll get a letter from their management company saying that, you know, they're breaking the lease by having the short-term rent. So you want to make sure that the management lease and the lease of the property allow it to happen. Right now, quayside stuff is not performing that well. So the city centre stuff at the minute is pretty dead. And I actually took the kids down to the car park opposite the mall yesterday with the bikes, and like it was just absolutely, you know, dead. The town was like a ghost town. So I do think it will come back very strong. I would just, if it was me, I would probably wait on acquiring any quayside sort of stuff until, well, definitely until we hear what the announcement's going to be, which is in a few weeks. Is it a week's time or something? A week on Monday? Yeah,
I think it was basically they were waiting on fire regs as well for the rental short term, but they were looking at a couple of months off anyway.
Okay,
so
all right.
It was basically a good dive in now to secure them, but
yeah, I think by then you should be all right. You know, we've got quite a bit in Hampton Gardens, and we've got a bit in obviously Lime Square, Baltic, places like that, and they're out of all the properties in COVID, they're the ones that took a nosedive and just really haven't performed. Dean Street, Manichar, they're all kind of the same sort of ilk, and I think it's just people aren't going into cities and people aren't traveling to cities for nights out or business trips at the minute. But I'm not saying that won't come back, because it will. It's just a case of balancing the time, and that most stuff I would kind of just advocate to go for. But the quayside stuff and the city stuff, I
think our concern was like, we're fine with weekend sort of competing with other people like apart hotels and that. We're fine for that, because we know the area will sell itself, but it will work. It's just the midweek that we were a bit concerned about. Like how would we go about approaching, say, a company executive sort of thing that are coming into the area? Like how would we advertise that to try and get like a
you get your companies at the minute, well, your main people traveling are contractors at the minute, and they don't want city centre stuff unless they're working in the city, because they want to be able to just park their vans outside, you know, and just go straight in the property. Whereas most city stuff, even if it's got parking on site, it's not exactly right outside the property. You know, they've still got to park it, go through some gates, and then or whatever, or go into a car park downstairs and then go up the lifts or whatever it might be. And you'd be amazed at how lazy these people are, but they do literally just want to park their vans outside and just walk straight in the front door. I think it's also a security thing where they want their tools like right outside their front door as well. But in terms of attracting, there's a direct bookings webinar in the training platform, but it's just activity levels in a whole host of ways. So you kind of start from your booking channels. So when you get bookings, you want to be interrogating them, asking them why they're here, who they're working with, how long they're here for, is there anybody else on the projects that they're speaking to, that sort of thing. And then you want to be, you know, trying to give them a call. There's various other ways where, you know, there's plenty of Facebook groups. And again, it's like that prospecting idea. So, you know, so like city centre stuff, for example, would be, city centre stuff would be, you know, stag and hen parties really. So I know I used to be a member of some hen parties and hen worlds, so like 7,500. So again, this used to be like a daily task of just having a scroll through, or even just hitting this and just going Newcastle, and you'd quite often get like anyone being to Liverpool, Newcastle and Hendu. Obviously it's 2017, but if this was relevant, you'd then dive on there as a comment and just be like, hey, I'm going to send you a message, I've got something for you. And then you'd be like, we've got this amazing city centre accommodation, we don't mind having hen parties, all that sort of stuff. And this is how you fill. This is how you fill your properties when we're not in COVID, is jumping on these type of groups. There's also plenty of there's like is it room swap or something? I think a room no, what's it called? Like host share or something. There's groups like that where past the property, that's it. Past the booking, that's the one. Again, just type in your location, see if anything comes up, you know, so not for 1 month stay, you know, so you just are all over these groups, just making sure that you're making contact with anybody that's raising the hand to sort of say, I'm in your area, I need some help, and kind of going from there, really.
Is that past the booking from CO Bailey, the per person per night group, Ryan?
No idea, in all honesty. Okay. Hi, Stephen. I've no idea.
Okay, cool.
But there's just loads of websites like this where or loads of groups, Facebook groups, where all these people are hanging out. You've kind of just got to put yourself in the frame of, you know, these people that are booking. There's like, you know, contracted digs. So contractor accommodation. So you kind of just want to be looking for posts for groups, contractor travel, groups, traveling contractor jobs, companies and people, you know, so dive into groups like this. And it's just a case of, you know, potentially putting, you know, create a job, or put clever posts out, or being all over these, just being all over the posts, nothing in there relating to Newcastle, but, you know, if you had an area, I suppose Newcastle, right? Yeah. So it's just a case of like just searching, using Facebook as like a search tool. It's just because that's what it is. It's just a Google search engine, basically. It is just a Google search engine, and then from that you stumble across stuff. If you put enough time into it, you make enough conversations. You know, there is no quick fix to it, really. So does that help? Or, I mean, I know it's a bit long-winded, but there's no like magic website, unfortunately, where they all just kind of hang out. It's just a case of making contact. But I don't think like your low-hanging fruit's always the best, where just people either booking with you now, get in contact with them, speak to them, you know, and you just want to be doing everything you can to get referrals once you've got a booking. But normally you'll start off by, if you've got a good property and you've analyzed it right, bang it on booking.com and Airbnb, and you'll start getting bookings, because that's where most companies will start their search. So if I said to someone, lads, somewhere to sleep tonight, there's 8 of them and they're in wherever, Cardiff, then naturally whoever's tasked with that will just jump straight onto booking.com or Airbnb, type in Cardiff, number of guests 8, and that's where they'll predominantly start their search. So you want to make sure that your, you know, listings are right, and you know, you're attracting the right type of person with your titles and stuff like that on those channels. But then when you get that booking, it's then what you then do with that booking to make sure that you generate more bookings, you know. So you know, getting in touch with them, speaking to them, you know, interrogating them, you know, trying to get referrals off them, finding out how long they're in the area for, that sort of thing. Even if they're a one-off hit, you might just ask them, do you come to the area often, or is it like a few times a year or whatever? And even if they say like a few times a year, then find out when the next due in and put it in your diary to give them a ring, you know. And it's kind of like then just building up that pipeline and just keeping on top of everything. And that's kind of how you just squeeze those extra bits of business out of all your properties, which make a difference at the end of the year, and really help.
Awesome, thanks for that, Ryan. Sorry I'm a bit late. I was just sorting out guests.
Alex, can't hear. You're very quiet anyway.
Can you hear me now? No?
Just go for the good old speakers. Microphone on the computer.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah. Quite faint, but might be my end.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway, yeah, just yeah, thanks for the thoughts on how to drum up business. Yeah, it really occurred to me today how important it is to get the direct to vendor stuff, and certainly be aware of the apartment blocks as well. After my little experience this afternoon, where someone flagged it up on Booking.com after a year of quite good activity for us. Someone made the phone call, and management company went schizo down the phone to the landlord. But yeah, so
yeah, I think there's, because people don't check. There's two in blocks of flats. Typically, there's two contracts. There's a lease agreement and a management agreement. So an estate agent might say, "Oh yeah, well the lease doesn't permit it, or does permit it," but that's fine. But if the management company don't permit it, then they're always going to be the ones that get on the case, and then you end up in, like, landlords end up in court battles, and they'll probably win the court battle, because there's like the difference between the lease and the thingy. But that doesn't help you as a business, because you'll have to shut it down, you'll have to wait, and it takes time and stuff. So you kind of, if it was me and I was just searching for stuff, I would try and stay away from these like newer, fresher blocks of flats, because most of them do have these management companies that like love ripping people off, and they can be assholes at times, to be fair. So it's just not worth the headache. So coming back to obviously Glenn earlier, with the refurb costs, you don't want to be pumping in loads of money, because all of a sudden you could have a management company then turn around and say, "Oh, actually, you can't do this here, it's against the lease," and all of a sudden you've got no option. And then the landlord's not going to be like, "Oh, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you all the money back that you spent on the refurb." It'll just be yeah, tough shit. So just be careful when you're getting into contracts. I always think that the outskirts of city centres, 2-3 bed sort of terraced houses, four bed terraced houses are just, they work so much better than bothering with flats, bothering with city centre stuff at the minute. And they're normally cheaper in terms of rents as well, because they're outside of the city. So you can get them cheaper, and you will not get any less bookings than a city centre flat. You probably get more, to be honest. So you're increasing your profit margins. And also, even with when the weekenders are back, like the block of flats we've got in North Shields, weekenders will book them to stay in to come for a night, a weekend away. Like, it's 20 minutes into town, but they still book it based on price, and probably because they can get a group of people in one block. So and they'll just taxi in and taxi out, or metro in, metro out, whatever, it doesn't matter. So you don't always need to be near cities for party people as well. There's plenty of weekends, most weekends we were full there before COVID. It's cheaper obviously than some of the stuff, because you've got to remember the city centre stuff at weekends, pretty much the prices we have now will be doubling once COVID's finished. So if we're like 90 quid a night now, even on our like stuff outside of the cities, we'll be doubling that to like 180 quid, 150 quid a night, 200 quid a night. Our big 5-bed houses that we've got, we do them for like 500-600 quid a night on a weekend when normality resumes, because and it gets it, every single weekend's pretty much booked out. It actually used to be the other way on some of the bigger stuff, where you didn't even need the stuff through the weeks. You just had your 4 weekends booked out each month, and you made your money. And then if you got any stuff through the weeks, happy days. So, and this is why I keep coming back to the fact that if you get yourselves teed up with plenty of property, you're going to make an absolute killing in the next 6 to 7 months, because the contractors, they're not getting any less busy. They're getting busier and busier and busier. So they're going to still need the accommodation through the weeks, and then you're going to be able to sell your weekends that we haven't been able to sell. And there's less supply in the market, so prices are naturally going to go up probably more than they were before COVID, because the demand is just going to be epic. and you know, it's like this perfect storm that's aligning. And if you know, you just want to try and get as many properties as you can, because you can just cash in for the next 6 months, and it could just change the direction of your business thereafter. So
what I need to hear right now, so thanks. That's what a lot of us need to hear, I'm sure.
But it's about having, like, you know, it's about having you know, the guts and the balls to go for it, and just double down on yourself and accept that, all right, I might have a few weeks right now where it's not the best, but at the same time, you know, we're listing brand new properties nearly every week, and we're getting bookings all the time. You know, we are getting bookings. Might not be the rates that we particularly want, but it's ticking by. And then when we go into this next phase, and I say it all the time, like, I had a meeting this afternoon with an investor who's just, you know, he's done buy-let investing for the last 20 years, never done anything different, just tenants collecting money, regular money each month, and trying to persuade him that this is a better option for him is, you know, is hard work, because they've just done something so long, so that, you know, and it's just come back. I think Mark, come back to your Jewish family that you were asking about before. Liam actually rang us before. He said, I've had a conversation with this landlord. He actually turned around and said, I'm not bothered if it makes me 10 grand a month more. I just want my fixed rent. You know, we were trying to do a managed agreement with them. Some of them are just so stuck in their ways that they're like, they just are. And you kind of win with some of them, but there's plenty out there that you can win with, and there's plenty of properties out there that we can get hold of. They're all on Facebook. Either the people are on Facebook or the properties are advertised on Facebook, and it's just a case of spending that time, an hour here, an hour there, just scrolling through it. If you know, even if you get yourself set up correctly, you can pretty much do it on your phone whilst you know, the other half is watching some rubbish on TV on a night. And you know, that's what I used to do. I used to just sit on the couch, you know, and I just flick through my phone and just be booking, viewing, requesting viewing, sending message, and then I'd just, you know, be having conversations and just putting them into my Google Calendar, scheduling it, and then that was that done. And it's just kind of like utilizing that time and just making sure that you're just outbound. I can't stress how important it is to open the amount of conversations behind the scenes in Messenger. You know, you need to be getting 75 to 100 a week, and if you do that, you'll acquire 1 or 2 properties a week. You know, and then it's just a case of how quick can you get them set up, and can you handle the pipeline, which I think some people struggle with. Is you know, like, I think Alex was there not so long ago where you felt like you just had far too many deals, and you then got caught in the operations and setup, and then obviously your pipeline went dry, and it's kind of make sure that doesn't happen.
I'll say I'm still need a bit of guidance on that. At the moment, we've got Unit 8 coming on board this week, which is really positive. And I've just started getting my head around Asana and creating sales pipeline, but I'm just going to create one massive pipeline for the moment. So I've just got all the deals, and then as they come through to being accepted, they then just keep going down the route of prepare the property, set it up, blah, 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 ongoing maintenance before I try and get too clever with it. So yeah, I've just been trying to flesh that out over the last couple of days, and trying to get used to Asana as a software, because I know it's really powerful when you know how to use it. So yeah, I don't know if you've got any advice on that. Sort of unit number 8 is kind of, there's nothing else in the pipeline. I sent off a whole load of messages at the weekend on open rent in Maidenhead. It seems to be fairly untapped, but don't tell anyone. Only half of no one's got their tenant screening set up, and only half of the messages were coming back with, oh, who is this for? The other half were just like, yeah, I'm doing viewings this weekend. So I thought it was really interesting. And a big contrast to the busier parts of the UK and the more urban city areas. So yeah, so I just dipped on there, sent a whole load of messages. I haven't followed them up at all. I've been pants out of that because I just had a mad busy weekend. But that gave me confidence that there's still quite a lot of stuff moving, quite a lot of traffic there. So I'm just trying to work out now, where's the balance? I've got sort of 5 units live. I've got 3 which are in various stages of setup. I really need to get number 6 live ASAP. It's a 4-bed that I've been holding on for a week for these contractors, which just hasn't come together. So I need to get it live on the booking terminals. That's a house, and everyone's above, you know, everyone's on, what do you call it? Everything's cushy with that one. So they shouldn't, you know, as long as the neighbours are happy, we should be all right. And I've spoken to them as well.
Yeah.
And then I've got Unit 7, which is a terrace house, and Unit 8 is back into the apartment side of things. But there we go. It's still a nice place. So I was trying to work out how I'm doing some early starts in the morning. How do I divide my time between deal sourcing, set up units, everything else.
Yeah, I think you just got to break the tasks down in terms of what brings money in and what doesn't. And you'll also find out that a lot of tasks probably don't even need doing, or you can get someone else to do. So, you know, it's always a tough decision to make, because I think at times you think, oh, well, you know, I'm doing this full time, so I've got the time to be able to pop over there and, you know, get the keys, or I've got the time to be able to pop over there and let them in or whatever. But then like a 30-minute job in your head actually turns into 2 hours, and then your day's kind of all off schedule. So I come back to it time and time again, but I'm a huge fan of 5 a.m. till 7:30 is like, that's just time to make the needle move. Now, that might be your time when you're doing your research and you're pinging your messages to your landlords, and then you might then go about your daily activity. For some, it might be go to work or whatever, and then maybe at lunchtime you're picking up the replies, and then you're trying to, you know, in that sort of hour, you're trying to then get the viewings booked, and then evening you're picking that back up. So you're kind of 3 points throughout the day around other stuff you can be doing. But if you don't start the chain reaction on a morning, what will happen is you'll get tied up with all the admin and operational stuff that doesn't make a difference. Naturally, your phone starts going, etc. You don't actually then pencil that time in. So I just found that works for me. I'm not saying that works for everybody, but I like to just get it done. And then I know if I decide it's after 7:30 that I decide I want to do whatever for the rest of the day, I can do whatever, because I know that I've moved the business forward in those 2.5 hours, and it's been productive time. So, but relaying it back to kind of the deal sourcing part of it, it all does need to be focused on, you know, just getting deals and opening conversations with landlords. And I think by doing it early on in the morning, it forces you to do a bit of hunting and a bit of prospecting via Messenger, which I think is more powerful than picking the phone up to an estate agent. So, because you're not going to ring someone I would, but you're not going to ring someone at 5:30 in the morning. I know Lois has started pestering people at 5:30 in the morning. So, but you know, you're not going to get many answers back at that time. But you get the chance to just like get loads of messages out there, rather than getting caught in like a conversation battle backwards and forwards, and then all of a sudden you end up checking your Facebook notifications and you end up down a rabbit hole, and before you know it, you've watched 3 YouTube videos on something that's totally irrelevant to property, and and then it's like, oh well, there's an hour gone out of my life. And that's for me is why the 5 till 7 works, because no one else is about to disturb you, and it's like that focused time. I'm embarrassed to say this, but my screen time last week was 11 hours 40 minutes per day. So that is like the highest it's ever been for me. That shows you what lockdown's doing to people. So
need to get out, Ryan. You need to put the phone down, get out of the house.
The weather's been so bad up here that like we've literally not been able to get out, or do anything. But and I'm not actually doing that much work. So God knows what, probably Clubhouse to be fair, but I'll class that as work. But yeah, that's a long time to be on your phone. But it does show you that you can use your phone a lot rather than your Macs and your PCs. You don't always have to be at your desk to make things happen. You can. I do tend to use my phone a lot more now than my computer. I pretty much just use my computer for things like this, and then I tend to run the rest of my job off my phone, and that allows you, especially after this period of time when we get our lives back. You're gonna have to adapt even more to be able to keep going on the go. But for you, Alex, I would be, I know we've talked about this a few times, but I'd be seriously looking at just getting somebody in to do all those setups. Just be like, this is the address, this is what I need, crack on, and just give me. In fact, don't even give me the keys when you finish. Just give me a nod when you finish, and then I'll arrange for the photographer to come in and just leave the keys in the lockbox. You don't want to go near properties. You've got to try and get out that mentality of going near properties.
Post negotiation.
So hopefully that helps anyway. But it's all about structure, getting it in your Google sheet, getting it in your Google Calendar, like blocks of time. It's like, it really is. Like I'm sure I've showed you all this pretty much time and time again, but like,
probably need to hear it another 100 times, then I'll be almost there.
Like that's my Google Calendar. And if I fast forward to, like, let's go April 2021, you know, it's the same, like every single month, it's pretty much the same. And then I just fill the white bits in. So I do the same thing every day, you know, and it all starts at 5 o'clock up here. But and then I've kind of got these times here to fill in. So, and then it just keeps you consistent with what you're doing, and it makes sure, and it's the consistency that creates the results. So, you know, I know what I'm going to do at 5 a.m. and know what I'm going to do. I also plan the night before as a minimum, sometimes a couple of days before. So like my NUI work and my number one priority work, I actually haven't done it for tomorrow yet. So probably after this call, I'll spend 5 minutes and just be like, right, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do that. And that's the needle movers. And when you're doing that type of work, you basically ask yourself, what are the 2 or 3 things that will ultimately help me achieve my goal? So, and your big goal, so not just, so my big goal is 1,000 properties. So everything I do, it's like, right, what gets me to that goal? What do I need to do? So I've got my non-urgent important work, which isn't time sensitive. And then I've got my number one priority work, which is for that week, which moves the needle that week. A lot of my stuff at the minute now is more, it's more delegation stuff. It's like an idea, and then how do I delegate it and then put it in the team for them to fulfill. But for you guys, you have to do the fulfillment as well. So it's like creating the idea, then fulfilling the idea. So how can you do it? So then you would want to piece it on your diary in terms of, you know, whether you can do whatever, an hour of marketing or an hour of, you know, prospecting, but even probably break that down to like, what marketing are you going to do in that hour? You know, is it posting on Facebook? Is it generating content? Is it shooting videos? What is it, rather than just marketing? Because marketing is a big, broad word. Same for prospecting. Rather than, oh, I'm just going to do some prospecting, like what are you actually going to do? Like, you know, is it going to be, you know, searching groups? Is it going to be posting call out messages on groups? Is it going to be opening conversations, replying to direct messages, whatever it might be? But the more structured you can get, the more you'll show up each day. And it's not a case of like, all of a sudden one day you're going to magically land on, you know, this website that's going to give you all the deals in the world that, you know, make you a millionaire. It's like, it's the really boring, shitty actions that you do every single day over a sustained period of time that start to create the results. But if you're very sporadic with it and you're like, you do some this week, you don't do some that week, you decide to show up one morning, but you decide not to the next morning. It's that inconsistency that for me, doesn't create the daily habits. And it's the daily habits doing the small stuff that really moves the needle over the long period of time. So like, you'd be pretty bored if you followed me for a day or 2 days. Like you really would. Like, by day 3, you'd be like, fucking how's this Groundhog Day? So
that's how I felt when I've done like routines in the past. I've just recommitted recently, having a chat with myself and my girlfriend, saying, right, I'm going to get up at 4:30 every morning, which sounds just a bit shit crazy. But I was like, if I just do that for 6 weeks, and if I can just test it and don't worry about nailing it, but just try it, just test it. And I just feel today, like I got up at 4:30 and it was just that sense of calm for 2 hours in the morning when no one else is around. And it was almost like a meditation for me. It was just like so relaxing. And it's just,
yeah. I think with the good thing, it's funny because I was talking to a friend who's he's done the 5 a.m. thing for the last 3 weeks. I know Lois has been doing it as well, and he's like, once you get past the tired phase after the first week or so, he's like, it's unbelievable how much time you feel you've got back in your life by having those extra hours. And like, if you ever sleep, like I know now it's very rare, but if I ever sleep in and miss my 5 till 7 slot, my day's just like, I might as well just lie in bed and feel sorry for myself, because I just like run around and panicked. I feel like, you know, everything's just out of sync and it's just all of a sudden playing catch up, and I hate it. Whereas if I do it, I just feel like the rest of the day is like just runs so much smoother. And I think that in itself creates the result, creates the consistency, and helps you, you know, free up the time that you need to be able to focus in the right areas, rather than, oh, well, I'll just squeeze 20 minutes of marketing in there because I'm a bit late, and I'll do 2 phone calls there, and, you know, maybe I'll catch up with that later on. And even down to like personal health, like, you know, oh, well, I'll just sack the gym off today because I missed that. And, you know, all that mental training I've got in the gym and things like that, I think is all directly related to this as well, of being able to show up every single day. So,
Ryan, I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
You know, when you say you're searching for different properties. So you've got different methods of search for properties. You've got groups. You might be like sending like landlord letters. You might be meeting people at virtual events, well, or used to be physical events. And you know, when it comes to like the really long tasks, the like posting groups, how much of these can you actually outsource to a VA? Like even searching for houses on spare room. If you give them like certain criteria you're looking for, can you say, okay, today I want you to find 10, 20, 100 rooms that fit this criteria? And how much would you recommend doing yourself?
You can. So I did this. So I basically just shoot Loom videos, show them exactly what I'm looking for, how to do it, and then you just assign the task over. I think Lois and Mark and I were talking about this earlier. Like, a lot of people do tend to go to the Philippines for this because it's cheap, but in my experience, you're better off I think you get better quality work with someone in the UK. You'll pay a bit more, but you'll get a better result. And I think they end up really understanding your business better, because the people in the Philippines as well, they'll be doing like 70 other tasks that day for 70 other different people, you know? So but you can do all that sort of stuff. It can be done and should be done once you get to a certain level, for sure. But I do think the fundamentals of building the relationships with the landlords, that should be like the business owner at the start, until you get past probably 10 or 15 properties, and then you actually onboard someone to actually do deal sourcing for you internally. I think that is where the relation, and I still build relations. Like, I'm going tomorrow morning to look at a block of 15 flats. You know, I don't actually go out and do that much sourcing, but an agent's rang me, they've put me in touch with somebody. It's quite a decent gig, so I'll go and have a look at it, because, you know, I know what the financials are worth to the company. So you know, I don't think you ever become like this ego way, like, oh, I don't go and view properties. You know, I wouldn't choose to go and view one, because I don't think that's a good use of my time anymore. I think I can create more for the business by not doing that and sending somebody else, because I've built the brand now and I've got the relationships there, and it's okay for me to say I'm going to send somebody. I think they kind of expect that now. But if you haven't got that brand built up, then I do think it's important to build the relationships yourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask, following on from that, Brian? So, you know, we've got Harry who's going to start doing some stuff for us. What would you advise for him to do, you know, when you get these who's it for questions back? Sorry if you've already covered this, because we were a bit late, I apologise. But you know, when you message them and then straight away they're like, who is it for? Is it for yourself? Do you work? Have you got any pets?
Yeah. I mean, I used to just be quite blunt with that, and I used to just be saying, it's for me, when can I come and see it? You know, and just kind of like answer the question, but then go straight into the question you want answering. And sometimes that used to take a bit of back and forth. You know, I've also been on the other side and asked those three questions myself when we've had, you know, single lets on marketplace and things like that. And so I can kind of understand the mindset of the landlord. What they're basically wanting to know is, are you going to waste my time because I'm looking after my properties and I'm going to be the one that's going to drive and meet you there? You know, have you got the finances to be able to fulfill, you know, the contract, basically? And so, like anything, there's probably no like set answer. I know, you know, what Mark posted in the group the other day, just stuff along that lines is good. I think Charlie sort of counter offered it with another variation of it. And, you know, all that kind of message around that is right. But I personally, like, as I said earlier, I would rather speak that in person, looking into their eyes, rather than type it on an email.
Like, sometimes, like, I always answer honestly, and then don't always get the viewing. But then I feel like if I turned up on a viewing where I had said it was for me and then started saying that it wasn't for me, that would make me feel awkward. And I'd feel like I had sort of conned them into the viewing.
Yeah, I mean, I've done both, and I think, but then at the same time, I've also done viewings where I have sort of said it's for me, and then I've got there, and then they're like, you start wandering around the property, and like, oh, so when do you want to move in? And I'm like, oh, well, actually, it's not for me, it's for da da da. And like, oh, we don't do that, and like almost ushering you back out. But then I kind of just go into like full objection handling. So I'm just like, can you just tell me why? Like, can I explain what we do as a company, how we safeguard your property, how we safeguard your money, and just kind of go into all the you know, the trust issues that they're going to have, and the fact that they're not going to get paid, because they're the only reasons. Like, they think you're going to trash their property and not pay them. That's the only two reasons that they wouldn't rent to you. You know, but as I say time and time again, when you deliver the value of the service and what we actually do, then they absolutely, you know, lap it up if they can compute it through their brain. You know, and that's the biggest thing. We have to make them understand exactly what we do, and if they do, it's a no-brainer for any landlord versus a tenant. So,
Lois.
Yeah, sorry, Alex.
Lois, do you guys do you say it's for my company, or do you just say it's for corporate let? What's the word you guys use?
Vary it up, to be honest. Like, sometimes I'll say it's for contractors, it's for my contractors, it's for business, or, you know, we house just that we do mix it up.
Yeah, I mean,
ideally sometimes I just say, can we have a chat on the phone, and then go through it on the phone with them, which I find
I would just be sort of along the lines of, you know, we work with, you know, contractors up and down the UK. Right now we're on the hunt for a supply of 8 properties that you know, fit our bill. We've identified your property as a good fit. I'd like to talk to you more about the proposal, which is a huge benefit to a landlord like yourself. You know, so just things like that. You've just got to kind of,
I think it's just getting from the message to getting to speak.
Yeah.
I spent like half an hour on the phone to a landlord the other night, just talking through exactly what it was. And by the end of the phone call, because he's got properties in Heaton and they're student accommodation, and by the end of the phone call, he said, "Oh, I really understand it now, and, you know, it's something that I would consider." And he's been having letters put through his door for years off, you know, people,
right,
off you. And he's like, "Oh,
ago.
I get it all the time," and this and that. And because I knew him, he was a friend of the family, he listened to what I had to say, and we went through it all. And he said, "Oh, well, I haven't got anything until September 2020, but, you know, he sent me a 6-bedroom house that he said that he would be interested in." But it just takes that conversation.
Yeah, you've just got to, it's not even trial and error, because one message with one landlord will work and one message with a different landlord won't work. It's just, I don't think there's like I think for me, it's just kind of trying to, like, if I got a message in my inbox and I wasn't doing short-term rentals, and it basically said, like, listen, you know, you see it all the time now where it's, you know, oh, we need, you know, however many nights, we've secured like 7 months worth of bookings, and we need 1 million properties on the service accommodation network, and everyone goes lapping it up and sending them messages, and nothing ever comes of it. You know, I don't actually know what they're doing. I think they're collecting data, but you know, it's the same. It's that curiosity of something different, but like, what is it? And I think you've kind of got to instill that in the messaging. So it's kind of like, you know, they're curious about how the whole setup's working and the long-term viability of it all. You know,
just because we're quite capable of switching it up and changing the message, but then if I'm getting Harry to do it and he's getting these messages back saying, you know, who are you?
Give me more information.
Yeah, he's going to come unstuck a bit at the beginning.
Just time and practice, isn't it?
I think you've just trial and error, possibly give him a few templates, like maybe 3 or 4 different variations of it written out, and then he can just post it and see what comes back, really. And from that, he'll start to get used to what works and what doesn't work, and realize that nothing really does work or doesn't work. It's all just like hit and miss, really, half the time.
And, you know, I sometimes think like less is more as well when you're talking
100%.
because honestly, I wouldn't say the amount, but there's a number of times I've talked myself out of getting a viewing and a half. I know that for a fact.
You wouldn't believe
the thing is, the more you tell anybody, they start to compartmentalize that in their brain and create an image of what it is, and it might not be what it is. So and I think it's easier because when you're in person and you're telling them that, you can see them getting confused, and then you can like go, okay, well, I can see you probably don't understand what I'm talking about, so let me show you a bit more. or let me talk to you a bit more. Whereas on the phone or over Messenger, if you just blurt out, you know, like no voids, cleaning weekly, da 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 da, like that might not mean anything to anybody. You know, I think we live in this kind of short-term rental game or HMO game, and we think everybody knows about it, but they don't. You know, I've just had a meeting today with an investor of 20 years. He's got a hell of a lot of property. He doesn't really understand what I do. Like, he still thinks that, you know, Airbnb is about tourism on the quayside. You know, and you would assume that, like, he's, well, you know, he's been in property for so long, he's got like HMOs all over the place, you know, so, but he doesn't really understand short-term rentals. He doesn't understand the tax benefits. He doesn't understand, you know, what it can do for him. So don't assume that they know what it is. Like, literally take it back to the basics, almost like, but yeah, don't give them too much information if you can't. Just very simple stuff. Like, I always find, and that's why I think the quick wins email works, is kind of like, listen, we're looking for 8 to 10 properties, you know, so it kind of gives that impression that we've got a lot of accommodation that we need to find. If a landlord's got 1 or 2 properties, then they're going to be thinking, oh, well, I could offload 2 at the same time here. And that's how you kind of really appeal to portfolio type landlords. And then it's just, what I would probably do is try and put a version of that quick wins email into a bit of a script, but like, just keep it, it's very simple, that email. It's just like, we do X and we need all these properties. We're working with people similar to yourself, you know, and, you know, would you be interested in a chat?
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of all. You just very simple couple of points and just bang.
Yeah.
Lois, is the gentleman sat next to you, is it? Sorry, or Harry's?
No, I'm Mark.
Oh, Mark. Oh, sorry. Hi, sorry, Mark. I only see Lois's name in the tag there. So Harry's this, a gentleman who's going to help you with doing some tasks for you.
He's going to do a bit of part-time work for us. Yeah.
Okay. What's Harry's background? What's he done previously?
He's a student. He's just working. He's at Newcastle Uni. He's just a friend of someone I work with. Who's looking.
Perfect. So something you could do is, because you guys are focusing on Newcastle, yeah?
Yeah.
So whatever the town is, like 30 miles south of you guys, give him, like, tell him to, if you want him to really nail this for you, just get him to 100 phone calls. Just say, right, Harry, here's your test bed. You know, if you flop on all of these 100 phone calls, it doesn't matter. Here's an opportunity, and just really don't lift him up. If anything, to talk down what his experience should be, and just say, listen, you're probably going to get rejected, but this is just play the game. That's all you're doing here. You're just playing the game. Blitz out the 100 phone calls and talk to the estate agents, talk to everyone on open rent for that city, which is 30 miles away from you guys, where you don't give a monkeys whether you win anything or not. Yeah. And out of those 100 phone calls, that's the expectation I went in with, is I had to do 100 viewings before I got anything. I used
to play a similar game with so we used to have these setters in Dubai who used to book our appointments. And whenever I got a new one, I used to play a game, and I said, I'll give you 100 quid if you can make 100 phone calls and get told to fuck off at least 20 times. And basically the idea of that was that he was pushing them so far with the objection handling that he wasn't giving up when they just said not interested, and he'd keep going and going and going and going. And it does, it like really takes them out of the comfort zone. And we used to record all the calls, so he'd like log which ones were, and then if they did, I'd give him 100 quid. But it just trains them to like to push it as far as they can go.
Yeah.
And then when they do get on the right calls with, you know, easier landlords, it's just easy, you know, it's just like fairly smooth, but they get really like thick-skinned quite quickly, and they start to realize that rejection doesn't mean anything over a phone, you know, because you're never going to see them again, and they're not going to remember you the minute they hang up. So but yeah, it's just activity levels. I can't stress it enough, you know, 10 15 viewings a week, 7,500 messages go out. And if you do that number, it doesn't really matter what script you're using or what sort of properties you're going after, you'll naturally just blow your pipeline up. So, you know, imperfect actions better than trying to perfect the right script, just getting as many conversations opened as possible. And that doesn't mean sending a message on open rent and not getting a reply. Like, you know, you need to be having the conversation to have it classed as a conversation. Anyone can send 100 messages on open rent and get nothing back. You know, I personally think Facebook is a much more powerful tool and a much better time spent. It takes a bit more searching, but the quality of conversation's a lot better. There's loads of like you saw the post I put on my Facebook the other night calling estate agents out. You know, I've got like, you know, 4 phone calls off that. I just passed them on to Nesha because we're like working on something like across the UK. So we've spoke to 4 estate agents today and kind of sent contracts out for our flexi stay model. And, you know, it's just, that's a clever marketing tool of basically saying like, put your hands up and I'm going to pitch you, but, you know, not. And they all like commenting. There was a few on there that commented, but I've seen a few comments in previous groups before that I decided I didn't want to engage with them. I don't want to do business with them. So I could have done more with them, but so do stuff like that all the time on your profile or even in groups. If you do things like that in groups, you don't get banned and the posts don't get taken down. But if you go with such an obvious pitch, then they just take your posts down. I do it in my groups. Anybody pitching, I just take the post down and I block them straight away. So it's all about like clever.
What was that ad briefly, Ryan? You said can you just give us a brief outline of what you said in that group, in that advert, sorry, about estate agents? You're gonna whack it up on screen for us.
I posted it in the group, I think.
Did you?
I'm pretty sure I posted it in the group.
Am I behind the times with the updates?
Come on.
Which of my connections here own an estate agency? Is that the one?
Yeah. So I have 43 comments on that that was like within 15 minutes of posting that. So when was that? Like I think it was a day ago, something like that, 2 days ago, maybe. Saturday night, maybe Saturday afternoon. You know, so, and we've had 4 phone calls from that, positive phone calls. So just, you know, if I posted that in a group, I mean, I might leave that bit off because a lot of groups don't like you taking them outside the group for communication. So, you know, which of my connections here on estate agency, you could just put that and just see who comments. Obviously that was on my profile, so I can then dictate that, you know, I've got something for you, create that curiosity. So
are you just going to pitch the SA, the rent to rent?
No, I've created this, like, I've got this idea, which it's basically, I'm calling it flexi stay, where I can work with estate agents whilst people are selling their properties and help them make money by doing short-term rentals. So it's just an idea I've got. So I've floated it past a few estate agents and they're all keen as mustard. And, you know, we've had a few bits and bobs out of it so far. We just need to get the contracts nailed. So it's just another angle. But yeah, I mean, like, when we are speaking to them, we are also being like, oh, and by the way, if you've got any, you know, properties that need managing, or you've got any properties that want renting, just let us know, you know, and then they'll kind of send us the postcodes over to check. So it's just opening that conversation, opening that door, building that relationship and going from there, really.
I'm going to ask a basic question here because you keep on banging on about this Facebook stuff and I clearly need to get involved. The wins keep coming from open rent, but as you say, long term, you need to get a marketing machine working for you. I post in for example, tomorrow morning I put together a post that I pop in a landlord group, which is, do you go for the national landlord groups or do you go for the Newcastle ones? Or what if I post in a national one and someone from Birmingham says hello and I don't know, I don't want to do Birmingham just yet. What's your general strategy?
I think well, you would just change that, wouldn't you? Which of my connections here own an estate agency in Newcastle?
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, cool.
You know, so you can narrow it down.
Okay, so Berkshire or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, a little hack as well is when you're in your post, if you click these 3 dots, once you've posted it, if you click your 3 dots and click save post, and then in your Facebook here, if you scroll down here, saved, and then you can actually create like collections here.
Yes, yeah, I've done that with loads of stuff in the past, but you do it for your own stuff.
So there's like 2 posts that we're currently following at the minute, and then like this is a thread in in a group, which is basically getting people to list what properties they've got.
That was
So
the group I was talking about. Yeah, PPN.
Yeah,
PPP.
so I've got basically Tanesha going through, finding out the smaller operators and just sending them a message, being like, "Hey, how's it been through COVID?" Da 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 da. Ultimately, trying to get managed business on. So, you know, it's just like using this platform. If you use it in a clever way, you can like really penetrate. But it's about like just thinking outside the box all the time and having your like eyes and ears open on every single post. Whenever you're scrolling through groups, you know, you could type in your location in these groups and, you know, stuff will come up. And so it's just using your head, really. There's no hard and fast rules. It's just consistent daily action around all these different areas. But if I could own, like, if someone put me on a stage and said, you've got, you know, 24 hours to find 5 properties, I would just go straight to Facebook. And you can use one tool. I'd just go to Facebook and get my Mac open and my phone, and I'd just go straight to Facebook. And I would just do nothing but open conversations on Facebook. So that would be my go-to. And I'd be quite confident that we could get 5 deals within a 24-hour period if all I was doing was sending messages. And the good thing about, like, say, Harry, who's going to be starting for Lois and Mark, by sending messengers, it gives you that breathing space if they get a question they don't know the answer to. Whereas on the phone, you can't skirt around you know, if you don't know the answer and you start mumbling and you know, I'm not quite sure, but I'll find out. You know, Messenger gives you the ability, and also people, I think, now are more in line with Messenger. You know, it's like, you know, think of how, you know, you all got here. Like, it was mainly through Messenger.
You sliding into our DMs, Luke. That's what it was.
Exactly. So, you know, but it works, and it also works for getting into landlords. You know, so you just,
true story.
You know, and don't let them like ghost you either. You know, get creative with like ghosting gifts and things like that, and you know, and people like humor and people like see personality. So I think that can come out in Messenger as well.
What's a ghosting gift?
A ghosting gift. Oh, it's like
GIF.
I said a gift.
GIF. No, like, yeah, ghosting gift. So if like someone reads your message and they don't reply, and then I will send like don't ghost me gifts or something like that. But
well, like just the two eyes kind of
just
sat there.
anything, yeah. Or like there's loads of them. They're quite funny, and then I think most people get the humor side of it, and then they actually end up replying and coming back into your world, you know. So rather than just being like, you know, hey, you haven't answered my message, you know, hey, you haven't got back to me or whatever, you know, it's just like, because people also get busy, right? So especially if you're going down the Messenger route, you know, like you've all been there, like you start messaging someone, then your phone rings, and then you end up, your kids come home, or you end up going to meet someone for coffee or whatever it might be. Then all of a sudden you go back into your Messenger later on, you know. It's like, so understand that with the Messenger, there can be breaks in communication. You want to try and get the flow going. Whereas on a call, it is literally just like you ring, you have the call, and that's it, get end of call, you know. So with Messenger, it can break. And just because they might have, like, I quite often, you know, might read a message and then something will happen, then you go out and you kind of forget about that message. It's not that I'm not interested. It's just something else happened and I got busy. So if I always tend to use like just bumping this to the top of your feed and put a little arrow, you know, and then it goes back to the top of their inbox, and then so there's loads of ways to you know, to get in this. Another thing where I find I'm working well is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. This is a bit more of a longer game, but we are getting some good traction on the conversations. Is you know, searching for developers, and these developers are developing blocks of flats or already own blocks of flats. And you know, I mean, for me, I'm targeting the managed route rather than the rental route right now, but there's plenty of conversations being had where they're like, no, we just want to rent the flats out. And you could say, okay, well, that's fine, let's do the numbers. I might rent 5 of them off you, you know. So there's, you know, but again, LinkedIn's more of a, you'll not get the instant response that you typically do on Facebook. For starters, you've got to connect with them first before you can send them an inbox message. So they've got to accept your connection before you can do that. So it's not as, it doesn't flow as quickly. But again, if you put time on your diary each day to do it, you show up 7 days a week and do it, and you commit to it for, 66 days or more, it becomes a habit, and you'll end up with good traction from it. But there's no point doing it for 2 weeks and then being like, oh, no one's replied to me, so I'll just give up on this.
Is there a ceiling to the number of objections you can receive? For example, on LinkedIn, would you say 3 or 5, or would you just say it's a case of handling each objection as it comes, just to make sure they are fully aware of what you're able to offer them?
Yeah, I think you just kind of, there's probably no number of objections. I think with platforms like LinkedIn, I would, if they don't answer your message, say if they connect with you and you send them a message, I'd probably try 3 more times. And if they continue to blank, then I'd just move on, put your energy into something else. But in terms of objections, the minute we get 1 or 2 objections, I would answer the objection, then I'd just try and get them on the phone. I don't think there's anything more powerful than a phone, but I think you can start the process off via Messenger, and then you get them on the phone, explain what you do, and try and take it further down the line. You might then go back into Messenger and explain a bit more. I don't do email. I hate email. I just have no time for email. So I try and move everything off email into either Messenger or on a phone call.
Less messy, isn't it?
Well, I just think email now is so dated and slow, and it's just basically for crap. It's like non-urgent messaging, basically. So, for me, I want to be keen. I want flow of conversation. I want to show that I'm urgent. I also like to know if they've read the message or not, because you can kind of see the mindset of it. So that's why I kind of like that system as well. So there's many advantages to doing it. But so I think the moral of the story is everyone needs to get into Facebook and start sending a lot of messages out. And if everyone, how many we've got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people sent 100 messages this week. There'd be 20 deals in that between you. Might not all happen instantly, but you would build that pipeline up, and you'd get the deals.
You mentioned about saving posts, and you can then group them. Is there a way of grouping groups or pages that you're posting in? So if I start sort of nailing all the Berkshire landlord stuff, how do I have to just write a list, or how can I just save it so it's quick access in Facebook, basically, so I can just click through them all?
What I do is so we have like the different departments. So we've got like management, rental, BRR, and then coaching, I think it is. And then depending on who's in charge of the Facebook, they'll save the post and put it in. We've got the 2-step posts as well, which is like our call out posts. But then if the posts don't get any traction, we'll then just remove them from the saved folder. So we're not like creating a list of stuff. It's just the core few posts that we're keeping an eye on. But once they're dead, we move on, because Facebook is like newspaper, it gets old. The feed gets old, the posts get old, it loses the algorithm, and it stops getting traction. So, you just get rid of it. And then you just, either find another post that you're interested in, or you put a new post up and you're tracking that and see how it goes over probably no more than 48 hours.
So you can save the posts, but there's no way of saving the group, just the group itself. And we should be posting in groups anyway, right? So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just save the post into a collection, yep. and then you just go into the collection and post, and it takes. So it just takes you directly back to that post, and then that's how you just cut time wasted down searching for stuff.
Okay, fine. But most groups have like a admin moderator post at the pin to the top, so you could just save all of those. That's essentially your group list listed out that way.
You could do the announcement posts, yeah, you could do, but in terms of, you can pin groups.
Okay. Yes.
So you can pin groups. So if you've got like 3 or 4 groups that you want to infiltrate, you can pin those groups, and then they sit in your pinned area, and then you just go into those.
I just wanted like a list so I can just go bam, 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 just jump into each.
Or you can do what I do, which is like have these bars here, these are my groups that I always am diving into. They're mainly mine, but
just save it as.
So you just save it as a bookmark and just go. You should all be having these type of bookmarks on your thing. So like you just quick You should always be one click away from your whole business. Just
Yeah.
saves so much time. So, just click, whatever it is. So, all the importance of just putting your bookmarks. So you could just have all your groups in there if you wanted to, and then just bang. But the downside,
Awesome, yeah.
So cool. Any more questions? Quite a bit gone through there.
It's good.
No, cool.
Good to have
All right,
the reassurance.
well, let's see if we can let's all really push on this open conversation. Maybe just, I don't know, every night put in how many conversations you've opened into the group or something, and just try and create a bit of accountability amongst yourselves, and let's see if we can total 600 conversations by this time next week.
Boom.
And
Is someone saying no count as a conversation?
Yeah,
It's starting conversations.
Yeah,
that's all it counts.
Start conversation, open conversations. That's all it's about. The numbers, the results take care of itself if you do the numbers.
100%.
It's just like on viewings. Like, you're gonna go on 15 viewings, you'll put in 12 offers, 10 offers, you'll get fucking 9 no's, but you might get 1 yes. That's the game. It's just a numbers game. But if you only go on 5 viewings, your chances are you're only going to get like a quarter of an acceptance. So it's just volume. The whole thing's volume from start to finish.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
Good luck, everyone.
So going forward, we'll be at 5:30, just so everyone knows, on a Monday. And
have you just changed that time, or am I in the old? I've got it saved in my Google Calendar as a link, but I think it's the old.
Should have updated today to 5:30.
It should have changed in the Google Calendar, because we all work off the same calendar, but.
And an alarm going off for the call on my phone now.
But there's I just want to bring them forward. I felt like they were a bit late, so 5:30 seems to work for most people. So
quick question, Ryan, on the getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I was thinking about doing it 6 days a week. Are you a 7-day-a-week man on that time?
No. So I get up at 5 o'clock Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Like, no bother at all, unless I go out on a Thursday night, but we don't do much of that at the minute. No, I Monday to Friday, and then Saturdays. The thing is, when you start getting up at that time and you've done so many of them, your body clock automatically kind of wakes up. So I'll probably have a bit of a lie in and get up at 5:30 on a Saturday. Again, it depends if I've had a few drinks, I might stay in a bit longer. And then on a Sunday, I always try and get up no later than 5:45, because I want to make sure that I'm in bed tired on the Sunday night to then get the routine going again on the Monday. Whereas if I lie in on a Sunday till lying for me is like 6:30, then I don't go to bed till too late, and then the whole week kind of takes a bit to get going as such. So I need 6.5 hours sleep a night. That's my optimum. So I've got to make sure I have that.
I'm on day 30 tomorrow, and I'm going to bed about 9:30. I have to. But
the thing is, though, when you go to bed, you're flat out.
Yeah.
And you get like a really good sleep. So when you're up at 5, you're really refreshed. You're probably more refreshed than if you went to bed at like 10, 11 and slept till 8 or 9 o'clock, because that's almost like too much. The human body only needs 6.5 to 7 hours sleep, depending on the person. Anything more than that is just a waste, really. But I have also tried 6 hours, and that's too little for me. I end up crashing and burning on the Saturday, because effectively I was losing half a day's sleep. So you've got to just figure out what works for you. But
I think I was nodding off in the afternoons when I first started at my computer.
Yeah, the first time it is tough. The first 2 weeks, it's really tough. You feel tired and you feel like not enough, and you drink like 1 million cups of coffee just to keep you going. But once you get into the habit of it, it just becomes second nature, and then your body gets used to it. And then you actually miss it when you don't do it.
So Lois, you're on day 13 or day 30?
30.
Wow, awesome. Okay, fine. You better keep going then, because that means I have to keep going. So
66. So 21 days forms a habit. 66 days forms an addictive habit. So really, once you surpass 66 days, you're then locked in.
So April.
I've missed one.
21st.
It's all right to listen. You've got to listen to your body as well. If your body wants more sleep, you have more sleep. You're allowed to enjoy yourself as well. Okay, that's good. Okay, cool. So there's not.
Wasn't sure about that.
If you can do if you can do 250 a year, you're doing really well. You know, you're doing incredibly well, and it'll make a difference. But again, like,
That's correct.
a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I'm a night owl. I'm not a morning person." That's just total bollocks. You know, it's proven. It's proven. All you got to do is go through the Morning Secrets program and look at the benefits of getting up early on the morning. There's so many health benefits to actually doing it. And you know, that's like saying, "Oh, well, I'm the fittest on my last mile of an ultra marathon." Total bollocks. Like, you know, you're going to be absolutely knackered. And it's the same if you've worked all day, been on your phone all day, you know, and had a full day, and then you're trying to stay focused and get going. You don't have the same impact. Like the 2 hours of work that I do on a morning is probably equivalent of someone doing 4 or 5 hours on a night.
Mhm.
And that's how you get to stay
I
focused.
just can't concentrate on an evening. You get interrupted with Robin, and
Yeah. Yeah, there's also that as well, which most of us are working around as well. Cool. All right, I'll let you go. Let's crack on.
Thanks.
Speak to you later.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
All the best.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
For letting me join for the evening.